So in the previous video, we already saw this was the card generated by ChatGPT. Now in this video, I will show you the card that I built myself using React and Tailwind CSS. So this is the card that I created. Now let's quickly show how it looks on UI. So I already imported my card in app component. So I will comment this card for now and uncomment this. So this is the card that I created. Now let's understand the code, how this card is work. So this is my card component. So here you see I comment out layer 1, layer 2 and layer 3. So here you see this is the first layer, that bottommost layer, and above that there is this div, that is layer 1, and above that there is this image which is layer 2, and above that there is this div component, that is layer 3. Okay, first let's look at the outermost div, which is the main container of the card. Here I add fixed width and height for now, but you can adjust it according to your design. I also added a relative property here. This is important because all the inner element use absolute positioning, and absolute element need a relative parent as their reference point. And why we need absolute here? To create this layer that I told you already, that layer 1, layer 2 and layer 3 that I explained earlier. So to create this layer we need absolute property. If you don't know about basic CSS absolute and relative positioning, I will explain you in another video completely. Now another important property here I add is overflow hidden. Okay, so let's see, if I remove this overflow hidden, what will affect in UI. So I remove it from here. So see, if we remove this property, you will see that some elements start coming outside the card container. Since some layer are intentionally placed slightly outside for animation, overflow hidden ensures that only the visible part inside the card is shown. And overflow property become very important when we use this layering concept to hide extra part. Okay, let's put that property back. Now rest with some basic CSS, like I added BG, background color, rounded XL is border radius, overflow hidden I already explained. This group property I will explain later, that how it plays an important role in group animation. Relative I explained, cursor pointer is pointer change when we hover on the card, this cursor, hand cursor. And this border I added, and while hover there is a border for and transition all, so that border appear smoothly with transition, do not appear suddenly. Let's understand the animation. So in Tailwind CSS there is a very powerful property called group hover. So in parent component you can see I added group name here, and in child component I add group hover scale 400. What it does, when I hover on the parent component, the animation of the child component is triggered. You see, hovering on the parent component, this div is scaling. So this is a very powerful tool for animation. Similarly, for layer 2, I added absolute position here, and group hover rotate 12, so that while hovering on the parent component it rotates. That looks good. Transition transform for smooth animation, and object cover to completely fit the image inside the parent div. Okay, here I add z index 20 so that it appear above the layer 1. In layer 1 I did not add any z index because I want intentionally that this layer should below this one. So that's why I added z index 20 here, and I want this div to above this layer, so that's why I added z index 50 so that this div appear above this image. Let's understand layer 3. So in layer 3 I added property translate y31 which move this div below x-axis initially, and while hover I add translate y equal to 0 so that it appear come back on its original position. So initially you see this is below x-axis, and I added overflow hidden to hide the extra part, and when I hover it comes back its original position. So that's all. These three are basic layering of this card, and inside this div I design like this. You can add whatever you want. So that's all about this video. If you want to learn more about animation and Tailwind CSS, don't forget to comment below so that I can understand what your requirements and make video on that.